So those are some things we're seeing. And then the deals that are getting done most often are the ones where there's a long-standing relationship, there's deep trust, conviction in the strategy, and deals where there is a assumed loan at a nice rate, a distressed deal, a pref equity deal, first position.
Hello, you're listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Brandon Elliott. I'm excited today. We got Richard Wilson in the house, not in the house physically, but long distance. He is enjoying the Hawaii weather, which is awesome. But you've done incredible things with family offices. You're part owner in the Family Office Club, which is awesome. You've hosted over 300 events over the last 18 years. I think it's 17.9 million on social media. The industry for family offices in general, if people aren't aware, it's $14 trillion in total that's being managed under those, which is incredible stats. And you own the domain familyoffices.com, 1,000 members that you're currently active and serving right now. Talk to me, man. Tell me, for anybody out there that doesn't know more about who you are, your background, and also just family offices in general, the definition and what that stands for. Do you mind just giving the listeners that 30,000 foot view?
Yeah, sure. So I've been at it for just about 2 decades, since 2007. And essentially, family offices are ultra wealthy entrepreneurs. They're like super founders. A lot of them like to invest in real estate, but they also invest into operating companies, et cetera. And so the purpose of Family Office Club is to interview as many of them as possible, centimillionaires, decamillionaires. It took me 12 years to buy it, but we recently bought billionaires.com. They interviewed Tony Robbins, Mark Cuban, Tim Draper, Grant Cardone's come to several of our events to talk, et cetera. And we're interviewing 100 billionaires there. We just try to disseminate what they're doing, what their mental models are, and then bring that to investors, CEOs, fund managers, real estate developers. And, I do it selfishly to learn, but then people make connections, get deals done. And that's what our investor club's all about. And we do 30 in-person events a year.
I love that. A long time ago, people asked me, because we've been doing the podcast for about 8 years now, and they were like, hey, why are you doing the podcast? And I was like, honestly, between you and I, the selfish reason is really to get, that interaction and that one-on-one time with experts like yourself. And so obviously getting the brand out there and helping more people too is what we're motivated from. But yeah, it's a no-brainer. So talk to me.
For sure.
2007, you started this. What a time.
Yeah.
And why?
I didn't know it was a bad time. I was too green and immature to even know it was a bad time. I was 26 years old. I didn't know anything, right?
Yep.
And luckily my blog on family offices took off. And then soon after we bought familyoffices.com. But I just think the more good karma you put out in the world through a podcast like what you have, then the more things get done. And, Robert Cialdini has scientifically proven you're 16 times more likely to get a deal done when you meet somebody in person. So I think it's combining a digital funnel like what you have, and then meeting them in person, which I'm sure you have from people on your podcast. And just you having me on here, I'm happy to have you at one of our live events for free if you want to come as our guest and check it out. And it's a perfect example of why people listening should have something like you have, because then it can translate into meeting $100 million family many times,
It's crazy. I love it. Well, I appreciate the offer too. That's amazing. I'll definitely take you up on that. So talk to me. Did you grow up in Hawaii?
No, I didn't. I just moved here 18 months ago. So basically, I grew up in Oregon, and I moved to Boston, where I got my first capital raising job and studied psychology of influence and persuasion through the Harvard Extension School. And then I lived in Key Biscayne for 5 years after that for a bit. But we're pretty recently moved over here.
Okay. What got you started, though, into the family office type of space? How did you know about that? Did you have any mentors at the time that were guiding you?
No, not at all. It's kind of the opposite. That's how I got into it. So I'll summarize it as quickly as I can. Basically, I came out of Oregon State University. Everyone wanted to pay me $30,000 a year to manage a warehouse or work at Target. And I was like, no, thank you. So I cold called everybody in the Portland, Oregon Chamber of Commerce. 4 people had a cup of coffee with me. One of them said, oh, yeah, you're great, Richard, but we can't hire you. You don't have 7 years experience. And I said, well, I'll work for you for free. You can fire me in the first hour. I'll figure it out. And she's like, okay, well, I feel bad. paying you for free. So instead of $100 an hour, I'll pay you 40 an hour. And they paid everyone else 100 an hour. I was like, yeah, great. Perfect. And I worked overtime and made 100,000 a year my first year out of my undergrad. That paid for my MBA. And I looked around and said, who's going to pay a 22-year-old 100,000 a year? Nobody. This was like 20 some years ago. And so I figured I had to get a job in commercial real estate or raising capital. So it's eat what you kill. And then I got a job raising capital, and I couldn't raise capital until I stumbled on one family office. And he said, oh, I'm a family office. All my clients are ultra wealthy. And I was like, oh, let me research this. And I figured out, like, it's like, why did the person rob the bank? Because that's where all the money is. It's like, why would you focus on family offices? Because those are all the ultra wealthy. So when I tried to do that, nobody was a trail guide to me. And I'd started like 7 or 8 businesses in grade school, middle school, high school. And I realized, like, wait a minute, why isn't there a trail guide to the wealthiest people on planet Earth? So then I sought out to become that the last 18 years.
Wow. That's powerful. What was the family office at the time? Who did you stumble into?
I don't remember the name, but it was a wealth advisor in Boston. I was working in Lexington, Massachusetts, just cold calling, wealth advisors, and bumped into that one. But I remember the moment I decided to start the business. I was walking through the computer lab on the Harvard campus, and basically everyone told me to take this job raising capital for a very credible $2 billion capital raised firm. And then this one person who had a house on the water with 5 kids and a big fat mortgage, he said, Richard, you're not married. You don't have any kids. What do you got to lose? Just start your own thing. See what happens. You can always take the job 6 months from now. Someone will hire you. And that one voice was the reason I had the courage to go and do it. It really changed my whole life.
Let's go. I love it. So talk to me, when you are, finding individuals, members that could actually benefit from a family office, what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, sure. So we work with anyone from like a surgeon or a pro athlete that's making, $600K, $1 million a year, to a high net worth investor who's a retiree that's 3 to 5 million, or we have a brother, sister that have done 8 or 9 deals through our investor club. They're worth 15 million. And then on the higher end, we have like cases where we'll help an $800 million family start their family office, or we help someone to sold their business, go through the exit, start their own family office, hire a family office. Our number one client's a billionaire. We've done 19 transactions with them and helped them formalize their family office. We helped a shark from Shark Tank create their family office. They've closed 2 deals through our club so far. And we work as an outsourced chief investment officer for a centimillionaire family as well. But most of the people that come to Family Office Club are just an investor. They want to meet other investors and learn and source deals, or they're a CEO, a founder, a real estate developer, a fund manager, and they're looking to raise capital and meet family offices. Those are like the core. It's really the exception that really engaged me directly to help them as an investor. But, we enjoy doing that.
So break it down in more detail for anybody that doesn't really understand that family office benefits and resources behind that.
Sure. Yeah. So essentially, there are 1,300 investor clubs in the world. There are only 5 that offer 30 or more events a year. And that's what we do, is we offer 30 in-person events. And we do so across Dallas, Los Angeles, Fort Lauderdale, New York. And we rotate around every quarter, so we're easy to participate in. We've then created like 40 ready-to-use artificial intelligence tools that are trained on the 1,500 transcripts from on stage at our 300 live events. So your AI tools are taking the collective intelligence of all those investors on stage and creating due diligence tools, deal structuring tools, capital raising coaching tools, one-liner pitch tools, pitch deck analysis tools, and 32 more list off and bore everyone with. But like, that's part of it. And then there's like a mobile app like Netflix, like portal, where you can stream 1,200 talks from investors. But the whole thesis behind it is like, what goes into your brain controls what comes out, right? So like right now, I'm not reading any books from anyone unless the author is a billionaire. So I've read 132 billionaire authored books so far out of the 245 that exist. We bought billionaires.com for about $500,000. I've interviewed 47 billionaires for billionaires.com. You can take a look and check those out publicly for free. And the thesis is that if you have the inputs into your brain coming from decamillionaires and centimillionaires, and you look at the grit and the work ethic of pro athletes, you listen to billionaires, you're around high performing, high velocity entrepreneurs all the time, like, it's going to dramatically change your life. Oh yeah. And that's what we've tried to design at Family Office Club, right? It's just to like have those inputs be super high quality. And these are like winners in the game of capitalism. And then it impacts your strategies, your structures, your mindset, your actions, your optimism. It's the opposite of like sitting on social media and listening to the news all the time, you know?
Thank God. Yeah. That's so good. Well needed too. Yeah. So do you guys handle anything in regards to other areas of business, not just outside of investing, such as like obviously taxes and insurance and just elevating and delegating with high C-suite individuals?
Yeah, so we do and don't. So when someone comes to us and they need help, we know people for the last 5 or 10 years in each of these areas, and we'll help them put together the team.
Sure.
Right now, we don't deliver wealth management, tax advisory services ourselves. We don't have like a fund that we're pushing on people, et cetera. I think one day there'll be some publicly traded company or some big brother partner that wants to help us monetize our platform and do that. But to date, we've stayed 100% independent. I own 100% of the company, and we've just been very careful on how we do that so people don't feel like they're having products shoved on them or something, hardcore sales approach. Or really is trying to build like the best investor club possible.
Cool. I love that. So right now, more on the investment side of things, what are some of the investment opportunities that have come around?
Yeah, well, I think that a lot of families have no allocation at all to healthcare companies that are profitable and cash flowing. So some of the smartest families I know focus on just a couple of areas. We've decided to focus in part on that. So we recruited a surgeon to be the co-founder head of Doctors Investor Club. And we have hundreds of doctors that we work with, and we try to invest into multi-location medical practices. We've done that half a dozen times. We like gross revenue royalty structured deals. I've closed 17 transactions doing gross revenue royalties. We'll source deals for big families and keep an eye out, like at an event with 800 people that we're hosting. We'll read the bios of everybody and basically look at their mandate, what they're asking us for, and then we'll help source things on the investor side so that they feel really served and they show up and they've got 11 meetings set up that are 5-minute speed meetings with exactly what they asked for out of the 800 people attending, so that it's better to come to our events than the average event out there. So those are some things we're seeing. And then the deals that are getting done most often are the ones where there's a long-standing relationship, there's deep trust, conviction in the strategy, and deals where there is a assumed loan at a nice rate, a distressed deal, a pref equity deal, first position hard money lending deal, like all the popular things everyone talks about these days. But meeting in person and having a super clear, really unique strategy that makes people lean forward and then building a genuine relationship is super critical. And, I can go through a couple of the mistakes people make when trying to raise capital from family offices if it would help.
Yeah. I was about to ask you. Yeah, that's good.
Awesome. All right. So like the number one thing is just not having something unique. Like at the core, you have to only do what's unique. And if you're doing 7 things, cut out 5 of them, put 90% of your energy into one, and then maybe this other one just for some clients, right? And just do the most unique, most profitable, most exciting thing. So you have to start with that. Otherwise, nothing else I say is going to help. But basically, if you have that, then have a one-liner that in one sentence, they lean forward. And not only should nobody else be saying the same thing as your one-liner, but nobody else should be able to say, because what you're doing is so unique that unless someone's a complete fraud, they can't really say it. So a one-liner is critical, and then turn it into a 1-minute pitch video from you as the founder, walking through a property, showing visuals of your properties or your assets, et cetera. Your team is super important. And then most people just have a 44-page pitch deck, and it should be probably 12 to 15 pages or under 20. And the 1-minute video should not only be on page 2 of your pitch deck, but also on your 1-pager. And take the best visuals from your pitch deck, put it onto a 1-pager. And so in summary, like when investors are communicating with someone, if their idea is not unique, you're kind of dead in the water. But also if it is unique and you have something amazing, you have to have the one-liner, the 1-minute video, the 1-pager, short pitch deck, hopefully a data room with a due diligence questionnaire that's already the top 30 questions they should be asking you. Having that all buttoned up costs you like almost nothing. And, for people that want to go fast on it, like one of our divisions is pitchdex.com. We can help people knock it out, but like, you don't need me to do it. It's only if like you're busy and you don't want to deal with the mess of having to go hire contractors, but this stuff's not expensive, and people spend like 80 grand on an attorney or 30 grand forming their fund. And then they don't put any intention into how they communicate what they're doing. And it's like, it's a year's wasting your time,
Yeah. Yeah. That's silly. So pitchdeck.com, that's another one that you guys own and run.
Yeah. We're doing about 1,000 marketing assets for clients, but it's really just using our internal team. It's like, we don't outsource any of it. It's all our internal video editors, social media managers, all that all that stuff. And what I found is that nobody wants to change their brand name. They're all emotionally in love with a brand name that means absolutely nothing. So like, I like the name of your podcast. It's a good example of doing it the right way. But like lots of people, they call their company like Wilson Capital. It's like, all right, well, do you invest in dry cleaners in Nigeria, or are you buying like self-storage in Houston? Like nobody knows, And it's like, don't have a one-liner, don't have a brand that means anything. It's like a lot of people just get the very basics wrong. And the founder of Paychex took $5,000, turned it into $5 billion. And he said he will not invest in a company unless they redo their name and have it sweating for them. Because if they won't take that feedback, it's such a powerful leverage point that if they're not willing to do that, he's out of the deal. He won't even invest with them.
Wow. That says a lot. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So with these pitch decks, I know you made a lot of like bullet point type of examples of short and sweet.
Sure.
Would you say for other personality types that are more analytical or very detailed and want to see the 100-page document, that something like that is beneficial as well? Or those individuals typically they're not making the decisions quick?
Yeah, I would say that even the sophisticated, detail-oriented appreciate high-level data, and then they want to be able to dig in. So a lot of that stuff belongs in the data room. It belongs in a due diligence questionnaire. If you know they're analytical, you could attach it to the initial email if they tell you that up front. And then also, the higher the net worth of someone, the busier they are. It's like the more K1s, the more LLCs, the more employees, the more things coming at them.
Yep.
And so because of that, if you want to move upstream, you have to be more concise, more clear, more sharp, and the higher percentage of your materials will be read and your message will be more fully received, the shorter the message is. So if I send you 19 paragraphs, or if I send you one sentence, it changes what percentage you're going to read, right? And like the busier you are, the more that's true. So if you're talking to $50 million net worth families, like you better have it somewhat dialed in,
It's so good. That resonates with my personality type so much. And in the season that we're in right now, we have been dialing it in and like shortening it up, like quick huddles of like boom, 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 get to the point with our team. And it's felt really good because team's starting to pick up the pace and understand my love language of hurry up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like Elon says that speed is the ultimate weapon in business. And Peter Thiel says extreme focus is a superpower. And Larry Ellison, I saw this morning, said there's only one or two really important essential things. And if you try to reply to every email, every phone call, and you scatter your energy, you'll never get anything done.
Yeah. So good. Richard, talk to me. You mentioned a couple of things about AI and how you guys are utilizing it within your platforms and so forth. Can you shed a little bit more light on that? And obviously your thoughts, opinions on the future and what other investors like-minded should be capitalizing off of?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that AI and robotics, I think will put 50% of people out of work. And so I think investors are preparing for universal basic income, massive inflation, and unknown risks related to AI and currency and debt risks. And so I think that people don't want their money in fiat. One of our members, Eric, said that basically keeping your money in fiat is a passive decision to invest in something that's for sure losing money, which is the US dollar, right? So basically, if we put that aside, like our artificial intelligence platform is called Investor Superintelligence. I built out every tool myself. We have 59 different ready-to-use pre-trained AI tools. About a dozen are for our internal team. We've got about 45 for our members, and 30 plus of them are available for our core members. And then we got like a dozen just for our premium members. But I have 3 we could send for free to people listening to this. We give them out for free to everybody. And I'll give you an example of one of the free and 2 of the paid tools. One of the free ones is called Billionaire Collective Intelligence. And what we did is we took insights from the billionaire books, but also over 1,000 public talks from billionaires, transcribed them, took like emergent new content from that. And now you can ask for advice from the collective wisdom of over 400 billionaires who have given these 1,000 public talks. And it will not only give you insights applied to your exact situation and vote on things if you want them to. So it can be like an advisory board voting on what to do, but it'll also tell you the exact quote that the insight came from. So you know who's giving you the advice. And you can say, only give me advice from billionaires in these 2 industries, or my industry, or in real estate, et cetera. And that's never been available to anyone, until now. And then the 2 other tools, Deal Structure Ninja is one of the other 47 some tools, and that is trained on 1,000 deal structures. And you say, okay, I'm trying to buy the storage unit. We're going to do seller financing over 7 years, fully amortized, this much in escrow money. And then we're going to leave them with this much equity for at the end, and et cetera, et cetera. You tell them what you're solving for, tell them what could blow up the deal. And then it will look at the 1,000 deal structure library, create 10 custom deals structures based on what you told it. And you can say, I like structure number 2 and 8. Show me 10 more like that. And do that over and over and over again until you get an amazing deal structure. And then it will write the email to the counterparty seller and your attorney, convincing everybody this is a good deal. And here is what all the components do for you and why it's good for the seller and the buyer. So that's called Deal Structure Ninja. That's one of the 47 tools. And that tool can change someone's life. Like if you sell a business that otherwise the sale is not going to go through, or you get a deal at a much better price because you made the upside still there for the person selling who didn't really want to sell, and it's an off-market deal, like that could make you $100,000 or $1 million, or save you from losing money or getting wiped out in the deal, add collateral to a deal, whatever your priorities are. So that one is one of our favorites for that because I'm a big deal structure guy. And then the last tools are most popular. We've had this one used over 1,000 times. We had centimillionaires come to us months later saying they use this tool every day. And it's called Dewey, the Instant Due Diligence Advisor. So if you have some nerd that was trained on due diligence, like super in depth, and you read 1,000 different, 150 white papers on due diligence, and you could text them 24/7 and say, look at this PPM, look at this pitch deck. And then it would analyze it in 50 ways, tell you top risks, signal versus noise ratio, do a risk matrix, basics of the deal, legal structure of the deal, fee breakdown of the deal, what's missing from the PPM, what are little secret hidden fees in there. And then it will write the top 7 due diligence questions you should ask first. When people throw deals at you, you can just pop it in there, get the 7 questions, email it over. If they never reply, you saved yourself time. If they reply with horrible answers, you saved yourself time. If they reply with decent answers, you can put it back in the tool, get 7 more questions, or just reply yourself. And it just saves you like much time, like dodging bullets, And so that's been our most popular tool.
My gosh, that sounds amazing. I love that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Talk to me when it comes down to billionaires. You've interviewed many over the years. They think a little bit differently, right, than the average folk. Yeah. So talk to me. What have you learned over the years, and maybe a person or two that stood out the most to you? Yeah, and just what, maybe something for myself or the listeners that would actually stand out.
Yeah. First of all, if anyone is curious and going down this road, for free at billionaires.com/books, you can see the top 10 books that I love most out of the 130 some I've read. So I'd recommend you buy all 10. And if you need a gift idea for a business friend, get one of those. So
I love
that's the first thing.
So billionaire.com/books?
Billionaires, plural.
Okay. Cool.
Billionaires.com/books. And there's little links. They're all available in Audible, except for Warren Buffett's shareholder letters from the last 60 years.
Yep.
That one, you have to get the actual printed version. It's like thick as a Bible, but it's worth it. And so that'd be the first thing. But I think in ways that they're different is they have a real expectation of excellence for them and everyone around them. Anything below like excellence is non-acceptable.
Yep.
They do not care if something is not the way other people are doing things. In fact, their hairs will stand up if people in a meeting say, oh yeah, well, that's the best practice. We have to do that because that's what everyone does. They know that is certified stupid if you do that in all parts of your business. Like you have to be super unique in at least one or two ways. And you have to do what other people either will laugh at you because it's overly ambitious, or laugh at you because they think you're stupid and you don't know the industry, or think you're ignorant and they're held back by constraints around what's normal, what's expected, what's average. They usually, like Sam Zell says, they like to live life full throttle, and they're like high energy, high action. They go and get things done. They have like massive internal locus of control, highly confident, typically highly positive, pretty generous, meet in person to close deals, and high velocity as people. And I think that there's 2 things that stood out that I didn't expect that make you get sucked into this vortex of studying them. One is they're almost all voracious learners. They either read a lot, interview people a lot, like are always trying to go like the next layer down, and they're curious, which makes you want to just study more billionaires after hearing that for multiple reasons. And then the other thing is that in addition to that, they don't really come out and say many times in the books, all you have to do is these 12 steps and you become a billionaire, because the industries are changing, timing is changing, interest rates are changing, and so it's more about, they usually say in the books, here is the mindset that made me a billionaire. And it's interesting as we've had 50 some pro athletes, including Mike Tyson, have interviewed on stage at our events. every investor summit we do, we have a pro athlete panel that are also investors, but also NFL, NBA player types. And then we also have interviewed all these centimillionaires, decamillionaires, and billionaires. And it all comes down to the mindset. And the mindset's what's critical, because the mindset can be high performance across time, but an action list may not work at all across time. So it all comes down to the mindset.
That's so good. I love that. Talk to me about the market and where we're currently at and what you're, I know, we'll do all the disclosures. You don't have the crystal ball. You left it at home.
Advisor.
Yeah. Don't come back complaining when you invest in Bitcoin or whatever else and it doesn't work out, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm just curious, with the space that you're in, the people that you're networking with, and the due diligence you've done over the years. How do you feel about the market? Where do you think we're going in the next few years, and what type of investments to look out for?
Yeah. I mean, Howard Marks says that even as a billionaire founder of Oak Tree Capital, he doesn't pretend to know exactly what's going to happen next. But he said, you better be able to stick your head out the window and see which way things are swinging and at least get an idea of where you're going, and he said that's important. And so basically what I see is that right now there's more talk about Bitcoin that you brought up, just because people don't like the amount of debt that's basically being brought on all the time. And Elon's like, yeah, government's unfixable, can't reduce the spending. It's just going to go on forever. And whether you like Elon or not, I think people believe that that's true. So that's one thing. I think apart from that, people want their money in hard assets, not fiat. So they still want real estate deals, but they're investing, I'm finding, only in deals where they've met the founder in person, they've walked the property, and there's something about the deal that makes the downside feel protected, or it feels like you're already buying it distressed, or you have some sort of edge in the deal that is super clear. It used to be 2-3 years ago, you could snap your fingers the right way and raise the capital you need for a deal. And like those days are gone. And so now we'll sell out of all the sponsorships at our investor club events, and the people who sponsor are higher quality than before, because the only people that are still out there having success are like top decile, I'm finding, which is interesting. And so what I'm finding is that clients are investing into profitable medical practices in the healthcare space. They like rescue deals, distressed asset deals. They can help recap a company that needs their short-term debt recapped as long as they're secure in some way. Clients love collateral in an economy like right now, and figuring out like how do they have their downside protected, or a pref equity deal. We just came in and acquired a 29-unit, apartment complex, for example, and structured it as pref equity to protect our investors. So those are some of the trends that we're seeing. And I think one thing for people to remember is that the family might go to an event or just be out in the world thinking, okay, we're looking for storage, we're looking for healthcare. But if somebody comes there and they have something that's just truly compelling, high conviction, and the family builds trust with that person, it could be oil and gas, or it could be crypto, it could be gold or something else. The trust matters more than the promised returns. Like the context of the situation and how they met you, and the trust in you, and the clear message matters more than the bullet points on your piece of paper or your pitch deck, much more.
Good. I love that. What are you investing in right now?
So real estate, the multifamily deal I just mentioned. We're looking for land. Haven't found a land deal that makes sense quite yet, but long-term, we want to own hundreds of acres. And then also medical practices. One of our divisions is Medical Clinic Capital. One of our sub-investor clubs is ran by an orthopedic surgeon that we recently recruited to run it. It's called Doctors Investor Club, which is not a very creative name, but it's just free for doctors and dentists to come in. And we're looking to source more profitable medical practices that we could capitalize in that space. So that's what I'm allocating in. Picked up another Bitcoin last Friday. I don't spend much mental energy on that, but I just think strategically it's something I want to be allocated to at least. And then we acquire investor clubs themselves. If somebody has a small investor club, we do 4.5 to 6 million revenue a year. And if you're doing a couple 100,000, we could probably show you how to boost that up and help give you exposure across our 18 million social media groups, et cetera. And so, we'll do acquisitions and take equity stakes in like a podcast or a investor club or some sort of investor platform, and then add that to our platform to grow everybody.
I love it. So for crypto, what are you doing on that side? You're getting a coin a week?
Yeah. So whatever, I'm definitely not your financial advisor, whoever's listening, and you may lose 100% of your money in anything you invest in the rest of your life. So just so you know, but I'm over allocated to Bitcoin. We've got a good allocation there. I've been told never to say how many coins you have publicly, so I guess I'll refrain from that. But a pretty top percent of holders on Bitcoin, is what GPT tells me. But then on the altcoins, I've got about 110 altcoins, and I overweight the typical, XRP, Chronos, Ethereum's my number 2 position, coins like that, coins that'll benefit from stablecoin rails and such of that nature. I'm definitely not an expert in it, but it's kind of like a strategic allocation, just because I think 2035, 2040, I'll thank myself for doing that. And I also have a pretty good investment into MSTR strategy with the Michael Saylor. Because I think if Bitcoin goes to $1 million per coin, he's going to be the central bank innovator titan of Bitcoin market making and creative structures. And he's like way down that rabbit hole. But I try to have that be 1 or 2% of my energy. I put the most energy into making sure that we have the most world-class, amazing investor club possible, and artificial intelligence tools that are the most practical, powerful, don't have to be trained, instantly valuable set of AI tools. And we're just trying to grow our moat around our business. And the 3-point moat is the AI tools. And we want to grow our social media platform from 18 million to 100 million. And then we want to grow billionaires.com from 47 to 100 interviews. And I say that to you because there might be people out there that maybe I could be helpful to them. There's a way to work together, or I'd love to have you come to one of our events, Brandon, just get to know each other better and see how I could help you with something you're working on. And sometimes I find that just by openly sharing that will attract some really unique opportunity or be able to help somebody in some unique way,
Heck yeah. I love that. Richard, talk to me. When's your next event and how can people find their way again there?
Yeah, sure. So first week in November, we have our event series called Family Office Formula. So I get the fun job of flying to 4 different cities, 4 days in a row, and hosting the same event, but 5 different speakers on stage at each of the 4 events. Wow. And so that's first week in November. And we basically are giving you, by coming to that event, you hear from decamillionaires and centimillionaires and myself, and you leave with a 50-point checklist on how the ultra wealthy built their wealth, keep their wealth, how they negotiate deals, structure deals, their mental models, negotiation strategies, time management strategies, all of that. And it's called Family Office Formula. And if you're interested in coming to that, the member application is at familyoffices.com. It's like ridiculously reasonably priced. We need to raise our prices greatly, is what I'm constantly told. And so then our next big event is our annual event. So we do 4 or 5 big events a year. And this is like an 850 person to 1,000 person event. It's called the Family Office Super Summit. And it's in December the 9th to 11th in Fort Lauderdale. And we're going to have 125 speakers on stage. There's going to be 4 or 5 fireside chats with centimillionaires and decamillionaires. Like one person just sold their business for $92 million. We're going to say, how did you do that? It's your 3rd sale. How have you done this 3 times? And I just ask them things that I selfishly want to know. So I don't get bored at my own event. I'm probably the most ADHD person that you've had on the show. And if I get bored at my own event, we never have the person come speak again. So I'm like, all right, we got to to give you an idea, many people at investment conferences will allow some sponsor that paid 50 grand or 20 grand to speak for 45 minutes on their gold fund and to show these charts that put everybody to sleep. Yeah. Our sponsors talk for 5 minutes. It's called a 5-minute deal flow talk. You get up there, your one pager is passed out to the room. You say what you're doing. You get off the stage. If people care, they'll come find you. Yeah. They'll talk. It's like, we don't need to hear where you went to college.
I love it. You're so right though. There's like those events that just are like boring. And it's like, man, you lost me 30 minutes ago,
Yeah. I have to have my computer out and just be knocking out Slacks and emails and like actually doing something, or my eyes just glaze over. I'm like, what am I doing here? And I'm like gone at lunchtime otherwise,
I love that. Well, that's awesome, man. I mean, a whole week of just back to back to back and in different cities too, let alone that's a hell of a task. So hats off to you for doing the do and helping out so many people. How many people normally show up to each event or like throughout the week?
Sure. Yeah. The mastermind events, are really like a 65, 75 person room. So you get to know them in a room. And when you show up to any of our events, you get our investor club radar tool. And what that does is it scrapes your LinkedIn profile. It does deep research on GPT on you. And then it takes all of that and bounces off the bios of everybody else attending. And then it will say, oh, this person's from the same city. Oh, this person is looking to invest in your area. And it'll say what 15 to 20 people you should be looking for with a LinkedIn link to their headshot. And you can be like, oh, there's Brandon. It looks like his picture is from 20 years ago, but he's right there, and like, and then you can network in the room. And so like, those are smaller events, but it's much more like low key. And there's only 5 speakers on stage. At the big one, there's more people on stage over the 3 days than are even at the smaller events, right? And so it's like a much different format. It's like a fire hose of information coming out.
I love that though. I think that's I wouldn't say intimate, but it's like you can run around in a network with enough people and keep it very proactive. I love that tool though, by the way. That's incredible. I love AI right now. It's like there's so much. Like if you're not using AI within your business, ladies and gentlemen, here's your sign. Go do that right now because it's going to leave you behind if you're not catching up now.
There's a couple of things on AI. Like one of my favorite quotes is, the world has never changed this fast before. So it can be a little bit overwhelming, but it's also never going to change this slow again. So if you're overwhelmed now, like just wait for a year, right?
Good luck.
Like the other thing is, like, some people are too cheap to pay for like a paid GPT account. And the non-paid GPT account, it's like having a second brain is how I look at AI, right? And so if you become a member and you get investor super intelligence, we're just giving you a very specialized second brain of deal making. And so, but if you don't pay for GPT, it has an IQ of 105. If you pay $20 a month, which is like 2 cappuccinos, your IQ of your second brain is 125. And if you pay for the $200 a month, the IQ is 135 or more. And so it's really not smart, literally, to not pay the $200 a month. And I don't make money off you paying it. It's just like they are losing tons of money to grab market share so they can be the Google of LLM chats. And that's to your benefit, because it's not profitable for them to help you on any of those levels. And so I think that's really important. And the last thing I'd say is that, like, the most exciting tool we came out with after we built all of our other tools, my team said, Richard, we don't need another tool. Like, people are kind of like almost overwhelmed by the number of tools. Sure. I said, okay. But when Grok Heavy came out from Elon, he said, basically you search in Grok Heavy and it dispatches like 12 agents, analyzes things, sees what agents are most credible, argues with itself, comes out with a consensus answer, and gives you a great answer. So I said, oh, that's interesting. So we made a tool called Hyper Intelligent. And what it does is it leverages over 100 million data points of all the public billionaire talks, the 1,500 investor transcripts from the 300 events we've hosted and all those speakers on stage, our Dewey due diligence tool, the structuring tool, all of these other tools, 20 different tools, all blended into one hyper intelligent tool. So now you can ask the question, it will answer it from 20 perspectives. It'll vote on it. So there's 20 different votes. It'll argue with each other on the most credible points, and it'll give with you like a consensus answer on what you should do. And it will also tell you what GPT would have told you if you didn't have access to that tool. And to me, that's like, there's no way that doesn't make you just a little bit smarter, like now and then, like, so I love that type of stuff. Yeah,
that's so good. Going back to what you were mentioning too, of like, people that are being cheap on ChatGPT and so forth, you could ask ChatGPT just, how can I save money in this situation? How do you make yourself pay for it tenfold? It's like, just feed it enough data. It's so simple. It's so simple.
I'm going to use that. That's such a good idea. It's like, you literally just pay the $200 a month and say, save me $800 a month. Yeah. Like, here's my finances. Here's my subscription.
Here's everything. Take it.
Negotiate for me.
Yeah. Handle my business. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Richard, I got to use that line. That's good.
Richard, this was excellent. By the way, I appreciate your time today. How can the listeners follow you, connect with you, and learn more about what you got going on?
Yeah, sure. So main website is familyoffices.com. And then I personally get back to people real quick. We got a 20-person team behind me helping us do that. But it's just richard@familyoffices.com is my personal email. So I'll see that. And then if you want to shoot me a text message, if it's easier, or an audio note, it's just 305-333-1155. But our whole business has been built off of exactly what you're doing, Brandon. Like, you give away value, create good karma. They benefit and have profited just from your generosity of ideas. And then it de-risks doing business together, right? And so we have a free book at capitalraising.com. And if you're skeptical about our events being the real deal, or like maybe they're going to be like just low end free angel investor garbage events type stuff, our YouTube channel is Centimillionaire Strategies. And if you go under playlists and you go to $100 Million Rainmaker under the playlists, or Create a Family Office playlist, the strategies in there are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if you just look at the billionaires we've interviewed on that YouTube channel, the Centimillionaires, I think you'll see that we're the real deal. And we try really hard to add genuine value, just like you on this show.
Heck yeah. I love that, man. Thank you so much. This is extreme valuable today. And
cool.
Yeah, guys, you're going to want to definitely reach out to Richard. It's a no-brainer. He's got a lot of amazing things going on. Definitely help out with your business, grow and scale, and be able to dial in your investment strategies. Obviously, just the networking alone. So reach out to him. If you want to get a hold of me, you can always do so on Instagram. It's Brandon Elliott Investments. Otherwise, our business page, Credit Counsel Elite on IG. And if you're looking for funding, we can show you how to actually talk to the banks properly, get up to 90% approval odds, and get up to $500,000 with rates as low as 0% by simply going to creditcounselelite.com. That's creditcounselelite.com. Would be honored to serve you there. And if you have any questions, reach out. Otherwise, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not done so already to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. You'll get the newest notification every Monday. After listening to a few episodes, leave that 5-star review. Love you guys all so much. Have a blessed week ahead, and we'll catch you next time. See you guys. God bless.
Yeah.
All right.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next time, God bless.